Hi, welcome back to Harvest Hill Cottage. I'm Renee. A free side table, some paint, decoupage paper, and just under 2 hours. I'm going to show you what we did, and we're going to start right now. So the table is actually in pretty decent shape. It's just sort of nicked up and needs some updating. So we removed the top right off the table to make it easier to work with. John made a new insert. It only had some scratched up plexiglass, so we put some wood in there. After cleaning and giving it a scuff sand, I went ahead and applied some shellac just to seal in any tannins that may present, and then the raw wood needed to be sealed as well. So the Zinsser bins, clear shellac is my go-to if I feel the need to have a base coat. It's not always necessary, but if you've got dark wood and you're going to be putting on a white paint, sometimes you can get some bleed through. So a shellac base coat is really helpful in that case. And then raw wood, you always want to put some kind of sealer on that as well. So this is the color Chateau by Fusion Mineral Paint. It is a warm, soft white with brown undertones. If you've never used Fusion Mineral Paint before, it is durable. It's fast drying, 0 VOC, so you can use it inside. It has a built-in top coat, so it's not necessary to add a top coat unless you want an added layer of protection, or maybe something decorative like a wax or a glaze. It's super durable. It has a beautiful matte finish. We absolutely love our Fusion paint. All right, once the top was done and dry, I decided to add some decoupage paper just to add something interesting and different to the top. This is Jami Vintage Decoupage Paper, brand new design called Scientific Butterfly. I love the Jami papers. They are 30 by 20 inch, so they're good size. 18-pound paper, so they're sort of a heavy tissue paper, really nice to work with. And because of the large size, you can use them on multiple projects if you want to, which is what I'm doing here. I just cut off what I needed for this tabletop, and I've got a whole bunch more of this paper to use on other projects. In order to get a straight edge, I used my rotary cutter on a mat with a straight edge. This enables me to get a nice clean edge for my paper to set on the tabletop. Next, it's time to adhere the paper to the tabletop. I love the Fusion Mineral Paint Decoupage Gel. It is a water-based decoupage medium that is very light, spreadable, easy to use. And as a bonus, you can also use the gel as a transfer gel to transfer images to your surface. So it's a nice, versatile product. So when I adhere my decoupage papers to a larger surface, such as this one, I will usually do a piece at a time, like you see here, holding down one edge and painting on my medium onto the other half here. I use a paintbrush and just make sure that the entire surface is covered really well. You don't want any holidays, because then you could end up with some bubbling or wrinkling in your paper. So really want to make sure you have really good thorough coverage with your decoupage medium. Now when I set my paper down on the gel, I use my hands initially just to get that sort of initial contact, and I'll sort of play with it just to try to get it to lay down without any major bubbles or wrinkles. Once I get that sort of initial contact, and then I will switch to a straight edge tool that I will use then to really work with my paper to smooth it out as much as possible. This is a tool from Iron Orchid Designs. It is a silicone blade. Comes in a pack of 2, a large and a small, and it sits in my hand really nicely. I usually pop it in a plastic bag because the plastic reduces the friction on your decoupage paper, and it just glides across the paper really nicely. So then you could use a credit card, I suppose, but I just like the way the silicone blade sits in my hand. And I just work with the paper, smoothing out all the wrinkles and all the bubbles. And the Jami paper is thick enough that it's not going to tear super easily, so it really is a nice workable paper. If you take your time here and really work with your paper, you can work out most wrinkles and bubbles from your paper. You may have a tiny bit visible, but you'll find that when your paper dries, it will shrink up just a bit, and a lot of the wrinkles and bubbles will just work themselves out. All right, once I get my paper down, I just take a shop towel and blot off any excess decoupage gel. It will dry clear, so it's not a huge deal, but I don't want any extra hanging out if I don't need it. Once the paper is dry, I need to seal it because I want it to be protected. I'm going to use Fusion's Tough Coat, a water-based sealer, safe to use on your papers, transfers, all of your paints. Does a really nice job. 2 coats seals everything in really nicely. Then I decide that the edges of the paper need something, and I decide to go with the Antiquing Glaze by Fusion, and I add a little bit of the chocolate paint just to deepen the color a little bit. So now I have a nice deep dark antique glaze to add to the piece. Glazes are a great way to add interest to your project, and if you use the brown antiquing glaze, you can age your piece right up, as I'm doing here. So I just paint it on, and then you wipe it back with a lint-free cloth to your liking. You can go as heavy or as light as you want with the glaze. And I love an antiquing glaze just for adding age to the piece, and again, it just adds another layer of interest. I did go all along the edges of that paper just to blend it in nicely with the rest of the piece. And there you go. Really nice new look for this tabletop. Now, because the bottom of the table was in really good shape, I decided to just give it a refresh using a product called Howard's Restore a Finish. This is a wonderful, quick way to give a wood finish just a refresh. There are just surface scratches here, so I can take some steel wool and my Howard's Restore a Finish and go ahead and just rub it into the wood, almost like a massage. Just rubbing it in, go with the grain, and you'll find that the Howard's is just like a little miracle. As you just rub it on, it just gives a new fresh look to your wood surface. Really great stuff. And it does come in many colors, so you can choose the shade that goes with your best with your wood surface. I believe this color is mahogany, and it did a great job of just giving new life to the base of this table. Then you just want to wipe it back with a lint-free cloth just to remove any of the excess product from the piece. If you like what you see here, please give us a thumbs up and do subscribe if you haven't already so we can continue bringing you quality creative content on a regular basis. Wait about 30 minutes, you can add a layer of the Feed and Wax by Howard's. It's just a nice protective coating that you can put over your Howard's. And now we're all done. Less than 2 hours, not including dry time, we flipped this outdated, tired old table into something really sweet and lovely that can be used for years to come. Thank you so much for joining us today. We always appreciate your views, your comments, your likes, and do please subscribe if you haven't already so that you can join us again next time. Thanks so much, and God bless.